Welcome to Morrison Madness. This is episode 93 or 39 or 9 and a third.
9 and a third? 9 and 3/4. Can we have a 9 and 3/4 episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay, Harry Potter. Okay.
So follow us on all the social medias.
Yeah, which we're on Twitter now, which is new. But it's not on the other platforms. It's Morrison.Madness. On Twitter, it's Madness Morrison because I could not get Morrison Madness. Somebody else already stole it.
I don't twit very much, but...
No, but when you have random thoughts, once in a while they show up on Twitter. So It could be a fun... It'll be very sporadic, I feel like, because you remembering that you can even...
Well, and I'm all about calling out Colin Cowherd because he's an idiot. I mean, for 2 months, all I could hear about was Kansas City was the greatest football team to ever play the sport.
Oh,
they're going to win everything.
I didn't know who he was.
You know, he hates Pittsburgh. He hates the Iowa Hawkeyes. Any team that's black and gold, he hates them for some stupid-ass reason.
He doesn't like those colors?
I don't know.
Oh.
And then, he just kept going on and on about Kansas City.
Gotcha.
And I kept telling everybody, once it got down to the Niners and Kansas City, or not the Niners, good God, Tampa Bay, that Tampa Bay was going to win.
Gotcha.
So, anyway, this week.
This week.
We're going to talk about
me breaking my nose.
Yeah,
breaking my face.
We spend all the time talking about me having to go to the hospital.
And we're not done with those either. I mean,
there will be more later.
There's lots of stories about Don hurting himself. So, not so many about me.
Or other people hurting me. I don't always hurt myself. Sometimes other people do it.
Because you jump out in front of them like a bus?
No.
So, but yeah, I don't have as many stories of me getting injured. Knock on wood. I don't want a lot of stories of me getting injured. I'd prefer not to have
Same
that.
here.
So, but yeah, I broke my face.
Although you're a lot more funny to take care of.
Yeah, we'll get into that, I'm sure.
So.
That'll be an interesting story. So
since I didn't really see what happened, I've only heard what happened from you and other people. Why don't you tell people what happened?
Well, first, backstory that you played basketball.
Yeah.
At least once a week, and before that, twice a week, sometimes twice a week.
Yep.
Before I ever knew you, for years.
With pretty much the same group of guys.
For years.
Back, starting in 2004? No, way before that. What am I thinking? 80, 89, 94.
There you go. I was going to say it was before your kids were born.
Yeah.
That you were playing.
It was when I started at the pet store. When I moved in with John Mitchell and his brother Jay.
Okay.
We started playing together. And
the way everybody kind of knew each other, there was a core group of people that started this, and they worked in the hospital.
Correct.
And so there is a hospital gym. There is a gymnasium. It's a 3/4 gym, though. It's not a full gym.
It's a recreational therapies gym.
Right. And they were tied with the recreational therapy department. And so then they had pickup games that they would play after work right there in the hospital.
Right.
And so you played once a week in the hospital in this basketball court just with some buddies. And I came and watched a couple times just for fun and hung out with the kids because there was a little area with the recreational stuff that they could play video games or color, do homework, things like that. So I would hang out with them. And then everybody kept bugging me to play. And I had not played basketball other than 1 year, I think, maybe 2 in middle school, but I'm pretty sure it was only 1 year in middle school. And at that time, girls only played half court. So I knew how to dribble the ball twice, and then I needed to pass it. And that's all I knew how to do. I did not really know how to play basketball, and everybody wanted me to play. And I was really worried about playing. But once I started playing, everybody was super nice. And even though you guys play hard for the exercise, like you're exhausted from playing, you weren't rough or...
overly aggressive.
Aggressive, yeah. Right. Aggressive is the right term. So it wasn't like, people were fouling each other or calling foul. Like you would call foul on yourself more often than somebody would call a foul on you, kind of thing. And then everybody was also super nice to me when they realized that I could dribble twice, and then I just pretty much stopped. Then they'd be like, no, keep going. And then they would just let me go for a while before they'd actually step in front of me and make me stop. But so it was good experience and good exercise. It was really fun that way. And so I'd been playing for a while. Mm-hmm. And then I was guarding.
Because you even came and played when we were broken up.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I feel like you'd been playing for a whole year.
I probably had been playing for a year. Yeah. And I went because it was good exercise. You know, that was the main thing. The people playing were great too. And no, I wasn't the only girl all the time.
No.
Once in a while there were other girls that would jump in, but mostly it was the guys playing. But this one particular time in October, which we've hinted to in the past because in the episode about us buying the house, we were playing and I was guarding one individual and we were...
Well, and I had been recently trying to help you.
Yes.
And told you, you know, when somebody's driving the lane, just square up in front of them, plant yourself, and don't move. Make them go around you.
Don't move if somebody's running at you via wall.
Right.
And they either need to let them run into you or they have to go around you. But
because if you move,
if you flinch, then...
If you move, it's a foul.
Right.
But
Including flinching.
If you just stand there, no, flinching isn't. But
no,
if you step to one side or the
way
other...
I flinched, it was. Because my flinching was me moving completely, like stepping out of the way, flinching, which then then it was a foul on me. So the whole idea was that I was just supposed to stand still and let them run into me. And so you'd been working with me on that and trying to get me to, you know, behave and do better. So I was guarding one individual. We were down on one end of the court, and I was on defense at that point. I don't even really know the terms very well, so you may have to help me. But I was on defense, so I was guarding. And another individual was coming down the court, dribbling the ball, and they got around their defense guy.
You don't have to say individual. You can use names. You can call them out.
Grant. Yes, so Grant was coming down the court, and Grant is younger than me, I believe, right?
Yes, quite a bit.
Which Grant is near my hometown. He grew up near my hometown, so we actually kind of know the same areas of stuff. But so then... And he's very athletic.
Extremely.
Yeah. Like Grant puts me to, well, most people put me to shame, but like super shame. Like he's super athletic and super good. And
even when I was in my best shape, he was way more in shape and way more athletic.
Right. Like I feel like he could have played for college.
Yes.
Like he's that athletic that he was really good at it. And so he's coming down the lane, right?
Well, he was coming down the court.
Coming into the lane.
Coming into the lane, yeah.
And I saw that he had gotten around his defense guy. And so I knew that one of the moves that I could do is I could step out in front of him and block him. And in the meantime, block out my guy, like turn my back to the guy that I was guarding. So that way he couldn't pass the ball to my guy, but yet I was in his way. And so I was watching out of the corner of my eye and I stepped out in front of him and boxed my guy out. And right as I did that, Grant decided to show off his moves and did a 360 hop to shoot. And as... Well, it was a leap, a jump. I mean, he almost reached the ceiling, I feel like. But he jumped. But as he jumped, he did a 360. And he did not see that I had stepped out in front of him. And as he did the 360, when you go to shoot the basketball, elbows out for shooting, evidently, with Grant.
Well, that's part of the spin move.
Okay.
Is the elbow out.
Right. So his elbow is out.
Because you don't put the ball into a shooting position and then do the 360. Right. You know, you're coming off of a dribble, so you're hooking that ball around. Right. With the one hand.
And if you're listening on a podcast and not actually watching our YouTube video, I apologize that you're missing all of Don's like basketball moves sitting here at the table. But if you don't play basketball, you may want to check us out on YouTube for this one specifically. Because
I'm not even athletic enough to do that 360 move. Like I have tried doing a 360 just dribbling. Right. I couldn't even imagine doing one in the air.
Right. Yeah, it was impressive. Like, yes. I remember watching it happen, going, oh, wow, and then, oh, ow, because...
And at this point, I had turned my back to the hoop, right, or to Grant, and was boxing out my guy, and was facing the hoop.
Right, and you were on my team,
right,
so you were also defense. So, yes, you had boxed out your guy to get the rebound, because you saw Grant go up for the shot, or start to go up for the shot, and knew that the shot was going to happen. So you turned your back to Grant and me at that point. And then Grant's elbow, sticking out as he's doing his 360, decided to take off my nose. And I just remember, like, feeling his elbow hit my face and hearing a very loud snap inside my head. And I just remember crumpling to the floor. And then the next thing I remember hearing is everybody yelling your name.
And meanwhile, Don has gotten the rebound because I'm not messing around.
Right.
And
Don's all
I
excited.
am 3/4 of the way down the court.
The other direction.
Yeah, and nobody is around me, and I'm like, scoring right here.
Right. And Don's all excited and is super excited that he's going to get the score and nobody can catch up to him. He got the rebound. It's super exciting.
Which I am not the fastest guy
No.
out there playing basketball. There were several guys that could have easily caught me, and it was a little confusing that nobody was catching up to Don.
And then everybody's yelling your name, and I remember you going, what? Because you were so frustrated that they're making you stop. Like, I remember hearing this, and all I'm doing is have both hands across my face, holding my face, my nose, and I'm sitting there going, oh shit, it's broken. Oh crap, it's broken. Like, I remember thinking that, and then everybody yelling your name and thinking, why is he not stopping? Why is he not paying attention? Why does he have no clue what's going on? And so then finally you're like, what? And somebody says, LaShelle's hurt. And you go, oh, and you come back down the court and you come to me and you're like, what's going on? And I'm like, it's broken. And you're like, what's broken? I said, my nose. And you're like, well, let me see. So I pull my hands away from my face and I look at you and you go, it's not broken.
If anybody has experience with broken noses, generally, if your nose gets broken, there's blood. Doesn't have to be a lot of blood, but generally there's blood. And then also, fairly quickly, you start to get bruising on one side, if not both sides, of your nose.
Underneath your eyes, yeah.
Right. And
the black eye thing.
And you had none of that.
Right, and you're like, it's not broken, honey. I think it's fine. And I said, I heard it snap. And you're like, no, I think it's fine. We can get you some ice and you can...
Yeah, I said, I think it's just swollen.
Yeah, I think you just, got bumped. I think you're fine. And then I coughed. And,
and blood came.
And
she
blood
coughed and blood came out all over.
Blood came out out of my mouth at that point, and you went, oh, yeah, it's broken. So then at this point, it was almost, is it the Marx Brothers? Like, everybody was like hustling and running to grab one thing or another,
right.
Realizing
somebody went to go get ice out of the break room area, and somebody went to go get a wheelchair, and I'm over there scrambling. I think Christian was helping me pack our stuff up into our gym bags.
Right. Yep. So we, having to pack all of that stuff, and everybody was grabbing. It literally was like chaos.
And thankfully, the kids weren't with us at that.
No, the kids weren't with us that night. Yep.
So I wheel you at this point.
We get me in the wheelchair.
Right, and I have a bag on each handle of the wheelchair. Excuse me.
Wheelchair, yep.
And I'm wheeling you through the hospital, and I get you to the ER, and I'm trying to explain to them what's happened. And a nurse takes the wheelchair from me, and they start wheeling you into a room. And when I try to go into the room, they won't let me in the room.
Right. They won't let you come with me. And I'm in pain, and I do not do well with pain. And when I'm in pain, I want somebody that I know and I trust to be with me when I'm in pain.
And you're crying and calling for me.
So I keep trying to get you to come with, and they're not letting you come with. And then they keep asking me how this happened. And I said, I got an elbow to the face playing basketball. And they were like, well, whose elbow? And I'm like, Grant, some other players. And they're like, well, who is this guy? And I'm like, that's the boyfriend. He did not, he got the rebound. Like, he wasn't
and
even
I'm trying
around
to
me.
explain it to him. And at this point, there's not just one nurse. There's 3 nurses, and one of them's a fairly big guy.
Right. And
they keep looking at my hands.
Right. They keep looking at your hands, and they keep asking me, so who did this? Are you sure it wasn't him? And I'm like, he got the rebound. He wasn't even anywhere near me. He had no idea.
They couldn't get it through their head that we were playing basketball in the hospital. Right.
And then they kept asking, where did you come from? Where did you come from? I'm like, here in the hospital. And they're like, this didn't happen in the hospital. I'm like, yes, it did. In your rec center basketball court. It happened here in the hospital. And again, we're at the University of Iowa hospital. And so there's a rec center for the university near the hospital. So then they keep saying, you mean in the rec center? And I'm like, no, the hospital gym right here in the hospital. We just pulled the wheelchair and wheeled me around the hospital to get here. I didn't even go outside.
It's a well-known secret,
yes,
that the hospital actually has a recreational therapies gym.
Right. Well, we just outed their secret. But in any case, so
it's COVID. Nobody can use it anyway.
So that's how it got broken. And then we were in the ER at that point. And so finally, I think some nurse realized that, yes, it
took a long time, though. I mean, I feel like it took
it was like
15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, like a half an hour, I feel like, that they finally said, okay, we don't think that your boyfriend hit you and broke your face, so we'll let him come back in here.
And I understand why they did it. I totally
Yes.
understand it. But the fact that it took them that long to put all the pieces together, I mean, we clearly came from a gym. We have 2 gym bags. It's wintertime.
Well, not only that.
We're dressed in workout clothes. We're all sweaty.
Right. And not only that, but I even said, call the recreational gym in the hospital and ask for John. And he'll tell you that it happened here and that he didn't have any part of it, And so I don't know if that's what they ended up doing.
No, they didn't.
But I kept saying, do that. Like, get it verified by somebody else. I understand why you're doing this, but it's stressing me out that you're not letting him be in here right now. And I just want him in the room with me. So
I finally get in the room.
Yep.
And all you wanted was to hold my hand.
Yep.
And so I'm sitting there next to the bed holding your hand. And this doctor comes in. And he's not a good doctor.
He was not my favorite. No.
And he kept trying to rush everything and not explain things, and he sprayed numbing stuff up your nose and then didn't even wait for it to start working.
Well, no. So they sprayed, they sprayed some stuff up my nose that was numbing. Didn't wait for the numbing stuff to start working, and then took
a needle.
Not a small needle.
Well, it has to be long to be able to reach up in your nose.
My brain?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then started giving you shots in your nose. And at that point, you're squeezing both my hands to the point.
Screaming.
Yes. To the point where I feel like pretty soon bones in my hands are going to start breaking, and digging your fingernails into I had blood on my.
I feel like I was screaming loud enough that like the campus security showed up.
Honestly, I thought you were giving birth.
with no drugs. It was really painful.
I don't doubt it. I've never had a needle shoved up my nose.
Well, your nose is sensitive, and then
I know. I pluck a nose hair and I'm sneezing for an hour.
It's
needles up the nose doesn't sound good.
It's way worse than plucking a nose hair. Way worse.
So, but what made it worse from that point is then
he didn't wait for that medicine that he injected me with to kick in.
Right. He started talking to me and just distracted you. And put a rod up your nose and snapped your nose back in place.
Yeah.
It was, I was unimpressed.
Yeah.
To the point where we complained about him and said that we didn't want him seeing you for follow-up care.
Correct.
It was not a good thing.
His bedside manner was not the best either. But my concern is that years earlier, before that, I had sinus surgery for a deviated septum, and I was concerned that having this being broken, that I was going to end up having to have surgery again. And so we were actually telling him that, if I'm going to end up having to have surgery, we don't want you to set it now. We just want to schedule the surgery and put me under for this because I don't do well with pain and I would be better off waiting to have this set kind of thing. And so we should just wait. And then, he set it anyway.
Right.
So I was not a happy camper.
Yeah, you hadn't... the whole thing was weird to me. I would have thought that they would have wanted to do a CAT scan and... They
didn't do x-rays. They didn't do nothing.
I know.
Nothing. So he just thought he popped it back into place well enough and said, great, here's some medicine and go home.
Well, and right before they gave you the shots, they had given you some alprazolam to try and calm you down. Right.
You asked for that.
And because we told them that opiates make you see colors, even though we've had modern medicine in this country supposedly for 200 years, we don't have anything for pain besides opiates.
Right.
So that's what you got a prescription of was opiates.
Yes.
But that pretty much wraps up the whole
part of the hospital.
Right.
Getting broken and being in the hospital, and then at that point they released me.
So I feel like we should come back.
Yes, because there's still a lot more to the story. So we'll take a break. And this will be one podcast, and then we'll come back with another podcast. So we hope you're enjoying the story. There's more to come yet with the broken face of LaShelle. But again, make sure that you're liking, sharing our podcast. We want to get the...
Well, and if you have questions or comments about it, please share them on wherever you're seeing this at.
Yeah, and if you're listening to a podcast and you can't comment right there in the podcast, definitely comment on our Facebook pages or Instagram or stuff. That way you can comment there. We'd love to chat with you, hear what you think, all of those kinds of things. So we're waiting to hear from some people. I've had some people private message me as well, so that's fine. But definitely go ahead and message just on our posts and things that way, because there's a lot of people wondering what other people are thinking.
Right, and we'll be back with the conclusion next week.